Morning, guys. Hope you slept well because I didn't. It's the way it goes sometimes, isn't it? You know. But where's my Lipton flask? I want to have a quick discussion on my favourite topic, as everybody who knows me knows, knives. I'm not going to go through different knives and what its capabilities are, but I think I'm going to start the discussion off is I'm going to ask you guys, what is your favourite knife? Now there's thousands and thousands of different knives out there, hundreds of different makers. Now I do have a list of 5 of my top favourite knives, and I'll probably put it in the description of what my 5 favourite knives are. But there is 2 knives in my collection. When I say collection, I don't actually collect knives anymore. I used to have 600 plus knives at one time because I did used to be a knife collector. And a lot of those knives I regret getting rid of, but that's a story for another day. But there is 2 knives that surprised me the most, and one knife unfortunately I can't show you because it's at my dad's house, but one knife I can show you because I brought it along with me today, which I've been using this morning to process some wood for my firebox. And this knife I reviewed a few years back. I can't remember exactly how many years, maybe 2, 3, I'm not too sure. And it wasn't a video review, it was actually a written review with pictures and so forth that I did for a column, a knife column on Facebook. I'm not know if it was Bushcraft group or maybe a knife group, I'm not too sure, I can't remember. But that same year I did the review, after using it for about a month, is the knife that same year that surprised me the most. In fact, I couldn't believe its capabilities, to be perfectly honest with you. So without further ado, is this one. For those of you who have read the review I did on the one of my Bushcraft groups, or one of my groups that I admin, which is Bushcraft UK group, I think I put it on there years ago. And this is, you might recognise it, this is a book, but it's a special book. This is a book 124 Frontiersman. They are very hard to get in the UK, and I've been wanting one of these for years, and because they are quite difficult to get in the UK, I was waiting for one to come up for sale, maybe on the trade post that I'm a member of. And one day one did come up for sale on one of the knife trade groups. I can't remember what the guy's name was I traded with, but anyway, I ended up getting it off him, traded with him, and it was in really excellent condition. And to say I've been using it relatively regular, I do have loads of other knives to review and I've been using as well. Everybody has the personal favourites, and this is now probably ranked number 2 on my list of knives that I probably would never sell, never trade. Not because it's hard to get hold of in the UK, but because of its capabilities. So let's start with the sheath. Real leather sheath. This is one of the later 124s, I think. I'm not a book expert, although I've used quite a few of their knives, but I think this was 2019 model, I think. So I will show you the stamp anyway. If there's any knife collectors or book experts out there, they can probably tell me. I think it's 2018, 2019 this was made. But the book 124 Frontiersman, same as the 119 Special, and similar knives have been going a lot longer. And this is one of their first full-tang knives that they produced. Obviously they did a few survival knives as well in the late 80s, early 90s. But I wasn't too sure what year they made the 124. I did know, but I've forgotten. You know what my memory's like. By the way, here comes a lovely black leather sheath. Very, very well made. Very thick welt all the way down. It doesn't have a drainage hole. But if you look after your blades, it doesn't really necessarily need one. And it's got the book logo there on the press stud. Here's your, obviously, your knife loop, your belt loop. All heavy duty stitching, heavy riveted on the belt loop, on the bottom, and you can just see that on the top inside there. And it retains the knife beautifully. It really does. Once it's just on your belt and it's all clipped in, it does not move whatsoever. Yeah. So undo the snap. Now the only thing I don't like about this sheath is when it's on your side and you're taking the knife out, because this wraps around the handle, you have to kind of move the flap while it's on your hip, because if you can see that, when you pull the blade out, right, the guard can catch this lip here, which makes it quite difficult for the knife to pull out. Not to mention that if it does get caught, your knife blade will probably sever this or go through it. Well, I've not really had any problems so far. I mean, I've caught it a few times getting out of the sheath, but I suppose, you know, you've got to compromise somewhere. That's probably the only complaint about the sheath. But apart from that, oh, real leather. Love that real leather smell. I'm not a Kydex guy, as you probably know. And here's the knife. The Book 124 Frontiersman. I'll show you the mark on it. It's going to appear upside down, isn't it? But yeah, mark there, 124. It says Book 124 USA. Obviously made it USA, not China. It is full tang. Like I say, this is one of their full tang knives. Because normally their knives are like a rat tail tang, doesn't go all the way through, but this one goes all the way through. Heavy duty knife scales. I believe these are McCarter. Now I think the earlier models, obviously they didn't use McCarter. I think they used that plasticky kind of stuff that's on their 119 models. Again, I'm not a book expert, so correct me if I'm wrong. And these, although they are much harder to get hold of, they do make them in Cocobolo scales as well, the hardwood scales, which I'm trying to get a hold of as well. So I've got obviously this in McCarter and the hardwood Cocobolo scales as well, if that's pronounced right. Yeah, so full tang, got aluminium pommel and guard. Really comfortable on the hand. Really comfortable. The other parts that's not comfortable is probably, I'd say, around these bits here, towards the guard area. They could have done with probably getting rounded a bit more. Well, it's not being too much of a problem, but it does give you slight hot spots when you've been working with this knife, say, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, full stop, without a rest. But apart from that, good solid handle, very solid construction. Very slight palm swell. I'll say for, you know, so you got your finger grooves there. fit absolutely perfect for my fingers. And my partner, when I first showed my partner this, she says this knife doesn't look real, it looks more like a toy. And to be honest, yeah, she's right, it does look like a toy. You know, one of them knives, kind of them fake say survival Rambo knives that you used to get in the late 80s, early 90s. They're absolutely rubbish. I suppose it can look like one of those because it's all like nice and bright and shiny, and it doesn't look real. It looks like more like a toy than a hard-working hunting knife, full-tank hunting knife. And so she's right in saying, but again, this video wasn't planned, so I don't actually know the full specs of this knife. Obviously, it's got a very long blade, definitely over 5 inches, more like 6 inches. Very large handle. I've got probably medium-sized hands, I'd say. I wouldn't say large, but you know, look how much room I've got. You know, and for a knife this size and this thickness, I think that's about maybe, I'd say probably about 6mm stock, roughly 6mm stock. And for a knife this size, again, it surprised me when I first used it, when I first picked it up. It's you know, it's light as a feather. You know, it really is. I mean, I've held knives like this size before, and this thickness, and they're really heavy. But this is really light compared to other knives that I've used. So when I first used this knife, I was actually kind of worried because, well, I'm thinking like, well, is it a toy? Is it a low quality knife? And having the reputation that Buck has, obviously, I thought, well, you know, I've used Buck knives in the past and they've been fine, as long as you're not doing anything stupid like trying to chop through bricks or trying to stab bloody steel or something like that. Then they've been perfectly fine. So back to the knife. It's made from 420 stainless steel. Now 420 steel is actually kind of a lower end steel, kind of a budget steel, but Buck has this amazing heat treat called the Paul Boss heat treat on their steel, and it's incredibly durable. It's incredibly easy to sharpen. Keeps an edge for a relatively long time. Obviously, it doesn't keep an edge as long as some other steels, obviously high-end steels, but for what this is, really impressed me. And as you can see, like a lot of Buck knives, it does have a hollow grind, which again, when I first used this knife, I had that doubt in my mind. I thought, well, why would Buck make a heavy duty knife and put a hollow grind on it? But Buck, realising this, and being as clever as they are, they actually put a secondary edge on it, a secondary bevel on it there, which is more like a V edge, which will make like this hollow grind a lot more durable. Now you probably know my opinions on V edges. I generally don't tend to like them, and when I get a knife with a V edge, I tend to take the V edge off. But because this is a hollow grind, if I did take that secondary bevel off that V edge, it will weaken this hollow grind considerably, and you know, so it's like taking a micro edge off a kitchen knife. Then it's pretty much useless. You know, you can't do a lot with it, and the hollow grind is just going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. It will crack, chip, and so forth. So obviously I left it on, but I didn't let it deter me. So I put it through its paces, and my reaction was, you know, wow, this is actually it shouldn't be, but it's actually quite good. And I bat on with it. I even bat on through a thick log, I think about 6-inch log, something like that, which just came up to about this part. So I just had the tip, because I wanted to test the tip, excuse me, and it survived the baton test. And it survived. I made some tent pegs with it. It slices, this is probably, out of all my knives, the best slicer I've ever had. It just slices through most woods like butter. Last night rather, I was carving, do some whittling at home, and because I'm staying at my partner's, I didn't really have a knife strong enough or sharp enough to carve oak with. Got really thick seasoned oak, so I thought, well, I've got this, might as well use it. And it did a really good job of getting through some solid seasoned oak, and I managed to make a spoon, which still need to finish, but it got through it fine. Again, there was no rolls on the edge, considering it was very hard seasoned oak. And when I baton through this as well, a few times, especially when I was reviewing it a few years ago, there was no rolls on the edge, there was no chips on the edge at all. So I decided to do some chopping. I chopped some limbs, I chopped through branches, I'd say as thick as my wrist, probably like this, and it just blitzed through it. It absolutely blitzed through it. And for a knife like this, it shouldn't really be doing the things that I was doing with it, but I thought I'll give it a whirl anyway, because obviously it is solid construction, it is full tang, so why not do some heavy duty work with it? And it passed with flying colours. I mean, yes, it would probably struggle if I use, say, something like solid seasoned pine, or that's like 10 inches thick or something daft like that. Because obviously this knife, for all intents and purposes, this knife wasn't really built for, say, heavy duty chopping. It's general all round camp / hunting knife. This is what this was made for, and it certainly excels in that area. Would I use it regularly for bushcraft? Definitely yes, and I have used it regularly for bushcraft as well. Would I use it for a survival situation? Yeah, I mean, it's full-time construction. I certainly wouldn't complain if this is the only knife I had in a survival situation, making camp fires, even shelter building. If this is the only knife I had, I'd say I wouldn't be disappointed in having it. I think it excels in camp chores and wood processing and wood carving, and pretty much anything that you want to do around camp, really. Yes, it's not going to be a heavy duty chopper as good as like a heavy duty kukri, or a large thick, 8mm thick stock chopping knife, but like I say, this is not what this knife was designed for. It's a general all-purpose knife, camp knife, bushcraft knife, or hunting knife, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I absolutely love it, and it's an absolute dream to work with. And once you start picking it up and start like carving with it and processing wood with it, you can't help but admire it, and you really can't help the quality and the thought of when they built this knife. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So I put it in my top 2 of my all-time favourite knives. Not because it can survive a nuclear blast, or it's made out of bulletproof metal, or some kind of solid kryptonite, but because of the simplicity in design, because of the build quality, and because out of all the knives I tested that year when I reviewed this one surprised me the most, because I really didn't expect it to perform as good as it did. And now, as long as you don't fully abuse this knife, you know, like you start throwing it, that I've seen people do, or trying to stab a car with it, or smash it with bricks and things like that, then I can honestly believe this knife will probably last you for the rest of your life, if you maintained it and looked after it like I do with most of my knives, passed down to your kids and things. Don't forget, Buck has a lifetime guarantee of all their blades they make, within reason, as long as you don't start smashing things with it. So yeah, and as well as being my second favourite knife of all time, I'd put it in the #1 slot for being the sharpest knife I've probably ever owned. I mean, the edge you can put on this is just absolutely insane. You can play around with this all day, doing camp chores, carving and things like last night I was carving that heavily seasoned solid oak, and it didn't lose its edge, not once. It was still hair popping sharp after I processed the oak. And if it does need a touch up, after a few strops, and that's all it takes, just after a few strops, this thing is just absolutely stupid sharp. When I say stupid sharp, I don't just mean hair shaving sharp, I mean hair popping sharp. After a few strops on each side, you can the hairs just pop off your skin. You just very lightly touch it. I've never known a knife as sharp as this, and to be honest with you, I don't think I ever will come across a knife that's as sharp as this one is. They designed this knife really well, a lot of thought behind it. That edge is fantastic. I used it to process some wood today for my firebox, which is currently behind my camera, which is what I'm using to prop my camera up to make this little video. Well, I'm not going to do any feather sticks because I broke an old pallet this morning, so obviously pallet was no good for making feather sticks, but I'll try and show you just how sharp this is. Okay, now I'm putting no pressure at all, so I'm not, putting a lot of pressure, very light touches. That's all I'm doing. It's hard to do it from this angle because I don't usually do feathers from this angle, but I'll try my best. Even this part, towards the tip area, even the tip, look at the tip. Yeah, even the tip is sharp. It's hard to do feather sticks with the tip, but there we go. Do some feathers, some curls. I know I'm off camera, but obviously I'm not doing a feather stick because I'm not going to make a feather stick out of some pallet wood, but I'm just going to show you the curls that this thing can do. It's really hard to show you in camera because I haven't got my tripod with me today. Very light touches on top. I'll try and do the thinnest curls I can do. I'll try and balance it on top of the wood to show you what this can produce with minimal effort. Never ceases to amaze me, this knife, really. Ooh. Right, just put that down a second. Alright, look at these curls here. Okay, this is with absolute minimal effort. Really fine curls, really fine, and you can make some amazing feather sticks with this. So it gives you an indication on how sharp this blade is. It is, you know, you can literally, which I'm not going to do, you can literally shave your face with this. I can shave all my beard off, no problem with this. I've no doubt in my mind, because, you know, obviously I know how sharp this is. But yeah, I thought I might share that video with you. I know it's like getting up to like 25 minutes long now, but be interesting to see if you've got one of these knives and how long you've been using it, and be interesting to see what your favourite knives are. I'm going to do another video on my, this is number 2 on my list of all-time favourite knives, which I'll never sell. I'll do another video on my number 1 spot, my number 1 knife that I will never sell, and why I'll never sell it, which I'll make another video. But this is number 2. Okay, there might be a number 3, but at the minute this is rose through the ranks from, I think, number 5, and now it's my number 2 after I picked it up again and started using it for a few weeks. Yeah, it's now got number 2 spot. But yeah, so yeah, leave your comments below and tell me what your favourite knives are. Maybe you've got like 3 of your favourite knives and want to know why. It doesn't have to be absolute bomb-proof knife, you know, made out of special high-grade steel and thick steel, and you can chop, you know, a car in half with it. You know, it doesn't have to be that kind of bomb-proof knife, because obviously this wasn't made to be heavy duty, but for what it does, it excels in everything that I've done with it, for my needs and my bushcraft needs. So yeah, very, very impressed with this. Absolutely love it. So yeah, I'm going to wrap that up and let me know what your favourite knife is and why. And again, if you've got one of these, let me know what you think about it, and if you can recognise the 124 mark on it. That's very hard. There we go. It's got that 124 line, it's upside 124, and like a cross, no, like a back to front T with a dot. So let me know what year you think this is. I think I was told 2018, 2019, but I'm not too sure. I'd have to probably look it up myself. But yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time, where I might show you my number 1 knife. Bye bye for now.